Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope you're having a great week so far. Time is really, really flying. I mean, it seems like it was just January and we're already in June, halfway through the year. Well, at the end of this month, we'll be halfway through the year. But you get the drift. So, June, one of my favorite months. I tend to celebrate my half birthday because my birthday is in December, December 27th. And since it's just around Christmas time and the New Year's, most people have been away and not around during my birthday. And for that reason, I always celebrate a summer birthday, and it's been quite fun. The past 3 years, I've had an actual party on June 27th, sorry. And it's been one of the most incredible experiences that I've started or experiences and also rituals that I've started to follow, and it's really been a way for me to honor myself, to find connection during my birthday, since most people are away during my traditional birthday, and yeah, just to have some fun in the summertime as opposed to freezing in the winter. So yeah, that's just a little bit of what's coming up for me this month, and starting in on this month of June, where the theme for the month is developing or cultivating self-worth and self-love. And in this first week, the theme is understanding self-worth. It's something that we have to take into our own hands. You know, today's episode is remembering and declaring your worth. So first you have to remember your worth, and then you have to be able to demonstrate or perform your worth to others. By nature of you holding corrective beliefs about your worth, your value, your confidence and self-esteem, that naturally emanates out of you by your behaviors. But if you're new to this, if it's not something that you've typically carried with you up until this point of life, then you might not have the understanding that you also need to display your self-worth to others. That is the way you carry yourself, the way you speak to yourself and to others. The way that you dress and the way that you set and keep and defend your boundaries, for example. There are many ways that you demonstrate your self-worth, but first, if you're coming from a background where you need to do reparenting, you need to do the internal work, the internal rewiring to structure your thoughts, your perspectives, so that you're coming from a grounded and empowered place. And from that grounded and empowered place, you'll then be able to share this with the external world. It's so important while we're in the process of reparenting that we're able to give ourselves this grace, that we're able to give ourselves the confidence of defending our own self-worth and standing up for it. Ideally, this comes from the mirroring we receive in the relationships in our lives. But some of us have to spend a bit more intentional effort to do that, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we're wrong or that we're less than or that we don't deserve it. It just means that we did not have the people in our life who were equipped with the capacity or skills or know-how to mirror us effectively. But as I've said many times before, you already have everything that you need inside you. Everything that you need is already inside of you. And you do have the capacity to build your self-worth and to display it by your behaviors, by the way you interact with others, by the way you care for yourself. And so today I thought about reading a few poems to remind us. I've picked out about 3. You can click on the link in the show notes in case you'd like to read them in their entirety. But these are some poems about owning yourself and your worth. It's about being authentic, showing up as your true self and being okay with that, no matter who accepts or rejects you, or who is indifferent to you or in love with you. You must become so grounded in your reality, in your truth, and your authenticity, that any additional attention or support or worth that you receive, validation that you receive, is just simply icing on the cake. It's not the core of your experience. And a lot of the times when you were not parented and you required this reparenting process, you can get caught in the trap of going out into the world and searching for this validation in others. But first, you must learn to give it to yourself. Always remember this one quote: no one can judge you. No one can judge you. Because you are the only one who determines your reality. A lot of us lacked boundaries, mental boundaries, right? Boundaries are not just, oh, don't wear my shirt, or please don't speak to me like that. They are also mental boundaries in terms of what you allow yourself to think, believe, and observe. So if you go into the world with partners telling you that you are not enough or you're too short, or that you're not exciting enough, for example, you cannot allow your partner's perspective of you to influence your actual definition of who you are. Those are your mental boundaries, and arguably more important than the external physical boundaries. Although those are important too, because the mental boundaries, they protect the essence of who you are. They protect your self-esteem, your identity, your self-worth, your confidence, and your ability to show up. And so it's of the utmost importance to establish those internal mental boundaries, because you deserve to be free. Speaking of which, our first poem is called Set Yourself Free by Yadin Lydia. You can find the link in the show notes, as I mentioned before. Here it is. Set yourself free from the limitations that kept you bound tightly, the politeness that quiets your voice when you want to scream from the rooftops. Set yourself free from the chains that keep you barred and locked up in captivity. Your soul longs to fly free. Set yourself free from the expectation of being anything other than the person you were meant to be. Be yourself, believe in yourself, and most importantly, be free. A poem by Yadin Lydia. I really love this poem because she reminds us of the process of returning to yourself. She reminds us of the costs of keeping yourself too quiet, of refusing to take up space, or of believing that you need to be someone other than who you actually are. Only you define your self-worth, your identity, and your reality. Never let someone take that out of your hands. As we take a look at another poem, the next one that we'll look at is called My Own Company by Jack Raymond. You can also find this link in the same in the same show notes, in case you'd like to check these out again in their entirety at a later time. Being on your own side, as we discussed by Dr. Aziz Gupta. Actually, I don't know if that's his last name, Dr. Aziz. I just made that Gupta up. I think maybe his name is, I can't remember. Anyway, neither here nor there, it doesn't really matter. But Dr. Aziz, he talks about being on your own side. I think he even has a book written that's called Be on Your Own Side. And that's something that many of us might not even be aware that we're not doing. You might not realize that you're not on your side when you're allowing those self-critical thoughts to come in, when you're allowing the inner critic to dominate your inner talk, when you're allowing the beliefs to create doubts. It's important to learn to be on your own side. And so this poem by J. Raymond, on My Own Company. Here we go, My Own Company. I can't seem to walk with the herd anymore. I guess I've been alone for so long I'm comfortable keeping to myself. I find so much fucking beauty and solace in solitude. Everything I find perfect is in oneness. A girl with a flower in her hair who can dance freely alone, with herself and no one else, or reading a book in a quiet corner during a downpour, or waking before the world to see the sunrise, with the only cup of coffee to my name. It's a self-realization thing. It's pure peace. It's removing the world's noose and finally breathing. It's floating in the ocean and it's feeling uncaged and free. And it's all reminding me of me. Whispering that I spent too much time worrying about inconsequential things that should never even affect me. These days, if you're not touching me deeply, then I'll keep learning to love my own company. That's a poem by Raymond, My Own Company, and it's another great reminder that demonstrates to us that once we've truly accepted ourselves, and moved to a place where we're able to validate our self-worth, our right to exist. As basic as that seems, many of us are at that starting point where we had to validate and confirm our right to even exist, let alone to experience happiness or joy from having our needs met. This poem, at the end, he reminds us of his own values. If you're not touching me deeply, then I'll keep learning to love my own company. Of course, we rely on others for support and mirroring and validation, but at the end of the day, it's you who has the key. And the more effort that you put in, the more that is reflected in the external. Not guaranteed, but it's definitely more likely based on the thoughts that you are carrying around and projecting from your own mind. You have to almost be, I dare say, an egoist, or an even dirtier word, a narcissist. It's not like you want to have NPD or you want to be an egoist who goes and thinks that they're better and hurts other people. But when you're coming from such deprivation of emotional and social deprivation of being built up, you have to do that yourself. And that does, in the beginning, look a little bit like being an egoist or a narcissist. And don't worry, you're not going to go too far down the path because you've already spent so much of your life on the other side. So it's kind of bringing yourself back into balance. You have to go a little bit farther to the other side than you might expect. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who's aware of what they actually deserve, someone who's aware of their value. And as we take a look at the last poem for today, it's a short one. And this poem is called Love Ourselves So Loudly by Louise Kaufman. Here it is. Love ourselves loudly. Perhaps we should learn to love ourselves so loudly it silences our insecurities. A very small, short poem, but oh so important. The more that we reinforce our self-worth and self-love, the more our insecurities are silenced. The internal chatter quiets. The internal critic begins to retire. And as that happens, that means that we're living in a different vibration, that we're raising our vibration, that our thoughts, the thought energy that's emanating from us, from our spiritual energetic body, is of a higher quality and a higher caliber. And that necessarily will change how the world responds to us. That's how we take our own life into our own hands and begin to build anew. It's so important that if you're in a place where you don't have someone that you can consistently rely on, that you keep that dedication to yourself, to keep pushing forward, to keep advancing, and to keep affirming yourself, because you do deserve to exist. You do deserve to be loved, to have your needs met, to experience peace and joy and calm and tranquility. You deserve to express yourself and to be seen and held, celebrated. You deserve to share your light, your gifts, your talents, your compassion, your energy with the world. It's your birthright. And so as we come back to understanding self-worth, the theme of this week, it's affirming your own value. First, by knowing who you are and what you have to offer, the characteristics that you have that you appreciate. And the more you do that, the more you assuage your insecurities while also addressing on them. They sting less when you're grounded firmly in the things that make you awesome, because you're aware of the strengths and amazing qualities about yourself. The insecurities are less impactful. And again, as I mentioned before, when you're working on your internal state, your vibration is lifted. That changes the way that the world and people respond to you, which sends you on that upward spiral of having those positive experiences that further increase and strengthen your self-worth. So I hope that you've enjoyed this talk today. It's a little bit of a talk, a shorter one. I've never done so many poems in a episode, but I thought that today would be interesting because I found these and they really struck me. And so I encourage you to click on the link in the show notes. There are a few more on this main page. There are about 11. I've only read 3, so in case you want some more inspiration or some other things to read across this weekend, go ahead and check it out. But thanks again for being here. As always, take care of yourself and please do be well. And don't forget, because it's Friday, it's the weekend, to have some fun, which is the most important thing you can do on your reparenting journey. So cheers and take care, guys, and have as much fun as you possibly can this weekend.